Batman Arkham Asylum is probably the only game that actually scared me as a kid, mostly because it's a massive step up from LEGO games. I've come close to 100%ing this game before, but never finished the job. Today, that changes. I haven't touched this game in about 2 years, so naturally I'm going to be starting on the hardest difficulty. The playable game begins after an opening cutscene of Batman bringing Joker back to Arkham Asylum. But don't worry, the fun doesn't start yet, as we have 5 minutes of walking to do. Within that time, we end up meeting Killer Croc, which I'm surprised they haven't just euthanized yet.
I've got your scent, Batman. I will hunt you down.
So Joker escapes and Harley Quinn is playing Tetris. He loads out a couple of thugs on us, but it's not a big deal and actually gets us our first 2 achievements. Not only are there combat achievements, but there's also collectibles that we're going to have to get scattered throughout the map. One of which we can quickly get right now by prying off this grate and grabbing this trophy. There's a total of 240 Riddler challenges, some of which require scanning actual riddles, while others just require you to break some Joker teeth. Progressing through the asylum, I meet this guy who basically tells me that his friends are dying. Going to the location that he tells me, we find that Victor Zsasz has taken a hostage, which is just basically our introduction to stealth. It's pretty simple, just climb up on some old gargoyles and give a man permanent brain damage. Then be delightfully excited that you've earned yourself yet another achievement. Harley Quinn comes on screen and Batman calls her stupid.
Harley thinks she has me trapped in this chamber. She never was very bright.
I find another Riddler trophy in a room more hotboxed than my high school bathrooms. We save 2 guards and an inmate for another achievement, happy to know that I'm the one who saved them from their crippling addiction. On a serious note, if you smoke too much, you won't get lung cancer, but a rich white boy with parental problems and a cosplaying issue will give you a concussion. I'm now walking through a door with a smiley face on it, and oh, it's Joker. He has something that looks like a before and after for a skincare ad. If you couldn't tell, this is definitely the before. This thing is called a Titan. This first one's kind of defective, so I can just walk around in circles and wait for it to have a heart attack. Joker allows us to kill him, which Batman doesn't take, even though we had the same opportunity 1 minute earlier. This is also around the time that we find out that Joker is working with Officer Balls and has kidnapped Jim Carrey.
Officer Bowles.
Back at the spot where Officer Balls kidnapped Jim, we can scan the flask you drop and trace the alcohol content through the air, because apparently that's how forensics works. Harley Quinn tries her best at a jump scare and then drops an elevator on us. Now if I want to follow them, I need to do this the old-fashioned way.
If I want to follow them, I'll need to do this the old-fashioned way.
I literally just said that. While climbing the shaft, I found one of these tablets with a spider on it. We can scan these and get messages from the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. It's another Riddler collectible, and I'm going to need to get 24 of these in total. Next up, I have a Predator section, which is honestly my favorite part of this game. When doing these, I truly feel like I'm hunting my prey. I still have their buddy upstairs, and oh look, another Predator section. This one's also easy, but I don't think I should be fighting them head on. Weird thing about this game, almost every inmate doesn't have a shirt on. Don't know if they feel more comfortable that way or if that's just how they came, but who am I to judge? I'm in a full head-to-toe leather batsuit. Joker figured out how we were tracking him by following Officer Balls, so his trail ends here. Riddler gives us a ring and introduces us to a new challenge, riddles. He'll give us a riddle like this.
Don't cut yourself on this sharply observed portrait.
And we can then look around the environment and find something that matches the answer to that riddle. Mr. Clean gave me a rundown on what the fuck happened and I make my way towards the outer islands. Turns out, even touching grass gets you an achievement. Some guys were vandalizing Batman's car, so I decided to help out the only way I knew how, by unleashing an extreme amount of physical violence. While doing this, I snagged myself another achievement for a 20 times multiplier. I grabbed Batman's explosive gel, which has conveniently been in the trunk of the Batmobile this entire time. This will let us access new areas that were previously inaccessible, like this weak floor right beside the Batmobile. I'm now following Gordon's tobacco trail towards the medical building. I beat up a few guys for looking at me weirdly and find Harley Quinn behind an electric fence with Gordon. And I'm just gonna let this clip explain itself.
Oh, you little minx. I can never stay mad at you.
Since Batman is a billionaire genius but can't operate an electric fence, I walk outside and break through the roof and finally access the medical building. Once inside, I encounter another stealth section in which I figure out that these enemies are just oblivious. After taking them out, I talk to this doctor who's a woman, which like most women I don't trust. I let these guys hit me a couple times and then move into the next room where there's another doctor that I have to save. There's 2 more after this one for a total of 4, giving me another achievement. These next 2 doctors were pretty easy. I just had to turn a couple of fans on and beat up a few kitties. Oh, I also died during this section, so add it to the counter. The game introduces a new enemy that we have to stun before beating them down. I also somehow managed to get another achievement for completing 5% of Riddler's challenges. I went back to the first doctor that I saved, and the second one showed up. She basically told me that she doesn't want Joker getting his grubby paws on her research. I told her, no, it's dangerous, and then she started aggressively blinking. This is why I don't trust women. I've been told to clarify that this is a joke because 12% of my audience is female. I walked into an elevator, Joker starts telling me he could have easily dropped it and killed me, but then Batman starts coughing and hallucinating your mother. I break through the wall to my left and walk through a corridor until I see Jim Beam being dragged away. I guess he's dead and Batman's eyes are glowing red, and that can only mean one thing. He's been taking adrenaline. This is where most people say Arkham Asylum turns into a Roblox horror game. I open the door to the morgue and I'm told to leave. You don't have to tell me twice. But then when I open the door, I walk into the same room that I was just in, except there are now 3 body bags on the table. I open one. Dead father. Second one. Dead mother. Third. The subscribe button. Oh my god! We're now in our first Scarecrow section. All we really have to do is avoid his glowing eyes and shine this bat symbol onto him. We wake up from our deep trip having earned yet another achievement and finding out that Gordon's not dead, is just an innocent man who probably had a family. I died 2 more times during this stealth encounter, saved Gordon from Harley, and found out what Joker's keeping in the basement. It's Bane. He tells me that the lady doctor from earlier has been experimenting on him, turning him into some sort of raging alcoholic. I knew I couldn't trust her. He then straight out admits that he's not natty and now we're in a boss fight with him. This fight was actually pretty hard. I ended up dying not once, not twice, but thrice, or 4 ice? Yeah, no, I died 4 times. I finally got through it though, earning myself yet another achievement. Bane gets buried in the rubble, Batman escapes through a sewer vent and hits Bane with his car. He doesn't kill people, by the way.
I won't kill you. But I don't have to save you.
Oh, shit. So I guess Batman built a Batcave on the island for situations just like this. Talk about convenient. Well, heading over there, I scan a spider on the wall and grab this Riddler trophy. In the Batcave, we find out that Lady Doctor is hiding something, of course. We also grab ourselves a new gadget which can help us pull things. Making my way back to the surface, I find a patient interview tape. Another collectible. Batman climbs on stuff because the grapple doesn't work because everything's old. I get into a physical altercation and find out that Joker placed snipers everywhere. After taking them out, I make my way into the Arkham Mansion, which is good for another achievement. Oh no, some of Joker's henchmen are now wearing collars that make noise when they get knocked out. That's less than convenient. This then leads into a Predator section where Joker will alert his men as to where someone's been knocked out. Overall, I think it's a great addition to the game. I don't think it's inherently difficult, but it adds enough of a challenge to give this section some flavor. I talked to Officer Cash and went over to Dr. Young's office, you know, the one that I don't trust. Well, there I watched her security system and some other stuff, figured out that she's already taken her formula and hid it somewhere. Oh, by the way, we're looking for a formula. Batman scans her fingerprints and I follow them into the library where she's hidden her formula. He then takes a bad hit of ketamine, it starts raining indoors, and I turn into a little boy. Batman then starts hallucinating his dead parents. We're now in our second Scarecrow section, which pretty much entails the same thing as the last one, just don't get seen by Scarecrow's glowing eyes. We can also now pull boxes for cover and beat up green skeleton men. This one tries to go full MMA on me, so I go full demon mode by blasting some MGK. Somehow it works, and I make my way out of the section pretty quickly. I'm kidding, I died twice, add it to the counter. I'm now at the top of the clock tower, and I've earned yet another achievement. I get to break this bell like in the movie, which is actually pretty cool. Holy fuck! A new enemy is introduced which we have to take from behind, whoa. I then met Victor Zsasz kidnapping Lady Doctor. I quickly take him out with a chunk of metal to the face and it earns me another achievement. She's rightfully pissed off, why wouldn't you be? This is the second time you've been kidnapped. Let's hope it doesn't happen a third. Oh. I guess that's already been decided for me. Well, rip Lady Doctor. Now I'm following the Warden's trail. His fingerprints led me to the sale block where they keep all the maniacs. Apparently, one of those crazies is Poison Ivy. All I'm saying is, I'd go crazy for her. Just behind her cell, we can walk upstairs and save the Warden. Not 5 seconds after Batman saying this,
Last thing I need is you running free.
Harley Quinn lets Poison Ivy out of her cell. Not only are we going to have to deal with her later at some point, Joker thought it'd be a funny idea to let out all the bad shit crazies. Is it just me, or do you feel like these characters are very much over-sexualized? The Warden gives Batman a little card that lets us hack any lock on the island. Harley Quinn hits a button that electrifies a floor, rip this guy, and we're now pushed into our next section where we have to fight these thugs while Harley Quinn swings around on a lamp above us. After taking them all out, Harley Quinn kisses us goodbye, but actually no, we have to follow her into a different room where she has two guys suspended above electric water. She escapes one more time, bringing us to another electrified floor that occasionally turns off and on. Once the floor lights up, just run to the next platform. It's pretty intuitive. Harley gets thrown like a rag doll, Batman cops a feel, scans her fingerprint, and then locks her in a cage, which is good for another achievement. Once outside, a lunatic attacked me, so I spammed the button aptly named Throw Lunatic. I then followed Harley Quinn's fingerprints to the botanical gardens, which makes no sense for a prison to have, especially considering you're housing someone who can literally control plants. The foreshadowing here is insane. Once inside, I beat up a couple of bozos, once again proving I'm a skilled gamer. I try to fix Joker's cable management system, but I find another room where I can't grapple because everything's old. Joker drops this fucking thing on us. Minutes later, he also drops two doctors to their deaths because I'm very bad at stealth challenges. This one's actually not too hard though. All we have to do is climb our way up to the control center, rip this vent off the wall, and take this guy out. And I don't mean to dinner. The rest of the section is pretty self-explanatory, it's just like any other stealth section. So I met Joker face to face again and found his meth lab. Turns out he's Walter Whiter. Unfortunately, his formula is not yet perfect, maybe it needs a bit of chili pea. His two employees get high on their own supply and I'm forced to fight Thing 1 and Thing 2. I died a couple times during this fight, and I have no idea where the counter is at, so I'm just gonna chuck a million on there. This fight should have been easy, but in hard mode, anything big and scary does a shit ton of damage. As my award for defeating them, I get the Line Launcher. It helps you traverse across far narrow gaps and can also be used to knock enemies off of railings. Using it, I find
Poison. Poison ivy.
I have a conversation with her and we basically both agree that Lady Doctor definitely deserves to die. She also told me that there's a certain type of plant down in Killer Croc's lair which can stop Joker's Titan formula. We now have to go back through the same way that we just came through, but there's now more patrolling guards than before. I didn't know this at first and ran straight into this guy. I take them out and make my way towards the front door, but it turns out that Poison Ivy is bad shit crazy and is deciding to take over the island. We will now have to deal with big plants on drugs for the rest of the game. Talking to Aaron Cash in Arkham Mansion, he tells us to go to the first building in the game to find out where Killer Croc's lair is. This is a very scary request and I don't think it's possible. So I ended up doing it with relative ease. There's now bombs scattered across the gargoyles, meaning I won't be able to camp from above, and I'm actually going to have to go down on the floor. This was another unique challenge, forcing me to actually use my brain instead of hiding whatever I wanted to. Batman is an apex predator. He should be able to take anyone out in any situation, and I just love that the game shows this. Moving on through a hallway, my game crashes again and seemingly restarts, but now Heath Ledger and Crazy Batman are in the Batmobile. This is then followed up with another walking sequence like at the start of the game. I was getting pretty pissed off at this point because obviously the game's broken, and I texted my friend to never play it again. They told me to go a little bit longer and it turns out this is another Scarecrow section. Who would have guessed? We see a crazy Batman eating a rat, this is why I was scared of this game as a kid, and then I take out Scarecrow by beating up a couple skeleton men and shining some lights onto him to send him back to Hogwarts. Doing so earns me another achievement. I dropped down an elevator shaft and headed into the sewer to find Scarecrow, who's threatening to drop his magic mushroom juice into the river. Unfortunately for him, Killer Croc jumps up and drags him beneath the water, which then leads into a very calm and very peaceful, not at all scary section of the game, in which we have to quietly walk around Killer Croc's lair collecting these plant spores. He'll occasionally jump out of the water. If this happens, we have to quickly time a batarang to activate his shock collar. This part's very stressful, as it could be coming from any direction. Another thing that he does is go beneath the water and start flipping up wooden panels that you're standing on. Once this happens, you basically want to run as fast as humanly possible. Finally making my way out of his lair, I blow a hole in the ground, bye-bye crocodile, earning yet another achievement. Leaving here, Batman heads to the Batcave to quickly make a cure for Joker's Titans. Not long after this, I'm locked in a room with a raging Titan and 10 men who thought they could take me on. They were sorely mistaken. Climbing back up the elevator, I get another achievement for solving 40% of Riddler's challenges. At this point, I should be mentioning, I've been collecting trophies and doing riddles this entire time. I didn't feel the need to mention every single achievement, as you already know at the end I'm gonna have to get every single Riddler trophy anyway. And if you didn't know that, well, you're stupid. The game Natural's progression makes me go towards the Botanical Gardens where Ivy is currently staying. On the way over there I decided to kill every single plant, cause god these things are annoying, they do so much damage. Once inside, we find out that Ivy is controlling innocent people. Now, Batman may not want to give them concussions, but I do. Walking into the room where Poison Ivy is triggers our next boss fight. Now, even on easy mode, I still find this to be the hardest fight in the game. However, it was surprisingly actually easy this time. I don't remember much about the fight because I was on a call with one of my friends. Yes, I actually have friends. But the basic premise is she goes up into this giant plant, and when she exposes herself, whoa, not like that, you can throw a batarang at her face. Unfortunately, seeing how easy this fight was on hard mode, I regret to inform you I will not be marrying her, having 3 plant babies, and moving out to the Philippines. Joker is throwing a party for us at the visitor center. These guys will happily let us walk past and even cheer us on, but it sucks to be them as there's an achievement for knocking out everyone here. I will admit this is a bit trickier on this difficulty as I can't see counter indications. So the only way I can tell if someone's about to ram their foot into my jugular is just going off basic body movement. There's a small Titan fight before the main event, which is arguably harder than the final boss. Batman gets knocked down, Joker starts tickling him with a feather, and then shoots himself with a gun that turns him into whatever the hell this thing is. This fight, like I said, again, is pretty easy. All we really have to do is run in circles avoiding his long reach, and once he jumps onto this platform, pull him down and then beat him up a couple times. Batman explodes Joker's face, somehow not blowing his own hand off, and I earn 3 achievements altogether. 1 for beating the game on easy, normal, and hard mode. The playable story was finally complete, but I was nowhere near done completing this game. I had about half the Riddler trophies and had to do combat challenges and Predator challenges. On those, you need to get 3 medals on each or 3 bat symbols. Not to mention there were also so many achievements that I needed to get that I hadn't yet picked up. For example, little miscellaneous stuff like gliding 100 meters, throwing a batarang back to yourself with the remote batarang, and beating up the Titan without the use of any batarangs. The Predator and combat sections weren't too hard considering that's what I've been doing all game, so I had acquired enough skill to get this done with no problem. When it came to Riddler trophies, I had already picked up most of Riddler's maps which show you the general location of where his trophies are. After you've picked up those, the trophies and challenges aren't hard, they're just very tedious. I actually had to search up where the last one was because, like I said, it's been 2 years since I last played this game. Finishing the final Predator section gives me my last 2 achievements for every single medal and 100% in the game. I'm gonna go check myself into a mental asylum now. You're probably gonna like this video on screen, and if not, you can go watch some Mr. Beast or something.